Okay, I'd like to call this meeting of the Coralville City Council, regular city meeting, November 28, 2017, to order. Roll call.
Councilmember Hoft. Gross.
Here.
Gale.
Present.
Dodds.
Present.
Goodrich.
Here.
Okay, all council members except for Hoft are present. City clerk, city administrator, city attorney, and several city staff are in the audience. I would entertain a motion to approve the agenda.
So moved. Second.
Moved by Gill, seconded by Gross. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay. Item 4 is citizen comment. This is a time for anyone to speak on an item that's not already on the agenda for tonight's meeting. Is there anyone that'd like to speak to us? Seeing none, we'll move on to item 5, Coral Ridge Avenue Improvements, Phase 2 Assessments. This is item A is a public hearing on a resolution of necessity for the Coral Ridge Avenue improvements. These resolutions are for a special assessment process on the benefited property owners for turn lanes and installation of traffic signals at Wheaton Boulevard that are part of the Coral Ridge Avenue Improvements Phase 2. Basically, that's between Oakdale Boulevard north to Forever Green Road. So I will open a public hearing, and are there any comments? Any written?
Yes, I have two notices of objection to the proposed resolution of necessity and assessment. One's from 965 Development, Inc., and the other's from Iowa Corridor Group, LLC.
Okay, and the council was provided copies of both of those in our packets. Okay, I will close the public hearing and consider the resolution.
Resolution with respect to the adoption of the resolution of necessity proposed for the Coral Ridge Avenue Improvements Phase 2, introduced for adoption by Councilmember Gross, seconded by.
Second.
Seconded by Gill. Discussion?
Yes, the resolution, since we do have objections on here, the resolution has, you can either adopt it without amendment and overrule the objections that are filed, or you can, change the assessment schedule if you'd like to do that. So, so first of all, the council would have to choose which, if they want to overrule the objections. We have Scott Larson and I met with one of the property owners once and their engineers once, and before Thanksgiving, and they had indicated to us via email after the objections were filed that they were going to file an ag deferment, and so the objections, I would ask the objections to be overruled, and an ag deferment just means that they would pay when their property develops. Right now, this is where Wheaton is. They own on both sides of the road, and the west side is farmed right now. The east side is partly developed, so not sure that qualifies for ag deferment, but the west side certainly would, which means they don't pay until they start developing that property, whatever that may be.
So what we need a motion
If you
as to which
one, you want to adopt without amendment, which means the objections are overruled, or you can change the schedule.
Okay, the first one, make a motion to
Adopt without amendment?
Adopt without amendment.
Okay. Is there a second to that motion?
Second.
Seconded by Goodrich. All in favor, say aye.
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 Aren't we going to discuss it a little more? Or?
Well, now we're going to do the resolution vote, so now we'll discuss the resolution. Go ahead. Jill, would you like to start?
Well, I just wondered about, when I'm reading the different amounts of acres that they feel, 44.71 acres versus they feel that 10.5, more or less. What was the discussion on that?
What happened is on the east side of the road, there are lots that are already developed that they sold off. One of them being where I think there's a Subway and stuff, the Hy-Vee gas. So their objection was they believe that they should only have to pay for the west side of Cross Park Road, which goes up parallel basically to Highway 965. When we look at the assessment, that lot that's on the east side is way more valuable by having if they didn't have the Wheaton Boulevard, they would have to either go all the way up to Forever Green and come down, or all the way down to Oakdale and come up. So, in our opinion, that property is greatly benefited by the Wheaton Boulevard intersection.
Right.
So that's where we came from to show that was benefited by that area. So, and on the
Definitely.
yeah, that's where their objection was, and I explained to that was my reasoning to their engineers also.
Could they object to, it's ag land, but it's already platted, right?
Yeah, I mean,
Not the east side,
That east,
or,
yeah.
or
west-
excuse me, the
the
west
west side.
side is not platted.
the east side.
So that's a 40-acre
Right, right.
parcel, so since it's
I
not,
thought I thought all of it was plotted.
Not on the west side of the road. You got two assessments on the west side, which is the big university piece,
Sure.
which basically when they hook onto the road, they're going to pay their assessment whenever that develops
sure.
in the future. And then this piece here would pay as they platted that 40 acres out, which I'm assuming without that road in there, they couldn't really do anything with that right now because there's no road leading to that parcel right now on the west side of the road. Because the university hasn't developed and the road, Jones Boulevard, has not come up all the way behind there either.
Is that where the university has that sign?
yes.
Yes, that's actually in North Liberty, but, I've talked to David about that, and when they hook onto our road is when we'd make them pay their assessment. When they hook onto the south to come out on that 40, whenever the hospital decides they're going to make a campus out of that is what I thought that was sort of their idea in the past, so.
So the fact that it's just land doesn't necessarily make it ag land.
No. No. And like Councilmember Gill said, they have platted everything on the east side, and by the time the project's done, at least almost everything on the west side of Cross Park will probably be sold off that they own, and then there's still stuff on the there's still another 20 some acres on the east side of Cross Park Road, and like I said, as I argued, that's benefited because it's
Well,
easy access to that
You
ground too.
can't have it both ways. You either have ag land or you have commercial land. If it's gonna be ag land, you don't need the road, do you?
Mhm.
So if you're gonna put the road in.
They did
they're
put the
gonna
road in
benefit from
already,
that.
yes.
So that's.
And they
that's
put
why
the
I'm-
road in.
They put the rest of Cross Park Road in, yes.
Right.
And was that the argument? Because in the two letters we received, there was the second letter referred to the ag land question. The first one really didn't have what their objection was.
I think the Iowa corridor group is the one that's on the west side of the road, and that's where the ag land was. And they do have access to an agricultural deferment, which they will definitely qualify. But the east side, they were more, when we talked to them, they were more arguing that they shouldn't have been assessed on the east side of Cross Park Road, which we disagree with.
So if we just go ahead and vote for this, if they choose to go ahead and defer the west side, they still can do that,
Yeah,
correct?
they
Yes.
just need to go through the formal procedure
Sure.
of going for the ag deferment, which there's under the code, that's all spelled out.
They got 10 days to do that, and I'll email them and say that whatever we've done tonight on this, and then they'll ask for the deferment on the west side for sure.
Any other discussion? Roll call?
Dodds.
Aye.
Goodrich.
Aye.
Gross.
Aye.
Gill.
Aye.
Resolution approved, all ayes with Hoft absent. Item 6 is Coral Ridge Avenue Improvements Phase 2, also a public hearing. This is on the plan, specifications, and estimate of cost for the improvements along this area of Coral Ridge Avenue between Oakdale and Forever Green Road. I'll open the public hearing on the plans and specs. Are there any comments? Any written?
No written.
Okay. I'll close the public hearing and entertain the resolution.
Resolution approving the plans, specifications, estimate of cost, and form of contract, ordering bids, setting a date for the receiving of said bids, and directing posting of the bid letting all for the Coral Ridge Avenue Improvements Phase 2, introduced for adoption by Councilmember Gill, seconded by.
Second.
Seconded by Dodds. Discussion? Roll call.
Goodrich.
Aye.
Gross.
Aye.
Gill.
Aye.
Dodds.
Aye.
Resolution is approved, all ayes with Hoft absent. Item 7, a portion of Outlot A, Dovetail Estates, Part 7. This is the third and final consideration of an ordinance. And we'll start by having a building report and P&Z report by building official Jim Kessler.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. What I'm showing here is what we'll be acting on next is the rezoning, but what you're acting on now is the third reading for the land use amendment for this area. This is a vacant lot, the commercial vacant lot at this point, between East Grantview Lane and the other developed lot where the large building is, where the church is, and where Thrive is. So this is that large vacant lot there. What you're looking at, what you're going to act on first is just a land use amendment to change this from neighborhood commercial to residential land use so that it can be developed residentially. So it's basically the north, not quite half, but the north portion of this outlot. So that's what you're looking at now for the land use.
Thanks, Jim. Yeah, this is our third consideration of this. So I did entertain a reading of the ordinance.
Ordinance number 2017-1011, an ordinance amending the Coralville Community Plan to reflect certain property generally known as a portion of Outlot A, Dovetail Estates, Part 7, Coralville, Iowa, to be designated residential use in place of neighborhood commercial use. Introduced for adoption on third and final consideration by Councilmember Dodds, seconded by.
Second.
Seconded by Gross. Discussion. Roll call.
Gross.
Aye.
Gill. Aye. Dodds.
Aye.
Goodrich.
Aye.
The ordinance passes its third and final consideration. Now, the next several items have to do with the rezoning of the same property.
Correct. So this is the same portion of property we just talked about. It's the northern half of the Outlot A. So there's several steps in this process. You've completed the first step just now is a land use amendment to change it to residential use. Now we have to rezone it, which is what this will be the first reading on that tonight, to rezone this from CPUD1, a commercial planned unit development, to an RPUD2, which is a residential planned unit development. So this is what you are going to act on tonight, just the rezoning from commercial to residential. Then there'll be another step in this, which we will probably act on next month, which will be the actual site plan for the development of this, along with the preliminary and final plat for this piece of property.
Okay, very good.
And this was, the rezoning was on P&Z at the last meeting. There were 5 members present, and they voted unanimously to recommend this for approval.
Thank you, Jim. Item D is a public hearing on this proposed rezoning. I'll open a public hearing. Are there any comments? Any written?
No written.
Okay, I'll close the public hearing and entertain a reading of the ordinance.
Ordinance number 2017-1014, an ordinance amending the Coralville zoning ordinance, the same being ordinance number 664 as previously amended, rezoning certain property located within the corporate limits of the city of Coralville, Johnson County, Iowa, and generally known as a portion of Outlot A, Dovetail Estates, Part 7, from CPUD1, Commercial Plan Unit Development 1 District, to RPUD, Residential Plan Unit Development 2 District, is introduced for adoption on first consideration by Councilmember Goodrich, seconded by.
Second.
Seconded by Dodds. Discussion?
This, the neighborhood, when do they get letters of information on this?
Before the public hearing, they were notified of this action tonight.
Thank you. Yeah.
Okay.
And they would also been notified P&Z was another option for them.
That's correct. They're notified, P&Z and council both.
Okay, great.
Roll call?
Gill. Aye. Dodds.
Aye.
Goodrich.
Aye.
Gross.
Aye.
Ordinance passes its first consideration, all ayes with Hoft absent. Item 8 is West Court, Lot 1, West Core Business Park, Part A, 8, I'm sorry. This is for an additional 38-space parking lot and future building addition to our business park on the west side of town.
That's right, Mr. Mayor. This is located on West, excuse me, on West Core Circle here, this, in the West Core Industrial Park. So this circle is basically south of Beiser Lumber. And at the end of this circle is where ProTech is located. And ProTech is a medical instrument manufacturing company. So what's happened is they have put on more help, and they put on more people employed there. So they actually do not, they're short of parking at this point in time. So they're actually just asking to amend their site plan to add this additional parking here. As you mentioned, it's just 38 additional parking places here. So that's all we're doing is amending this site plan to give them more parking, because they're kind of parking wherever they can down there now for the extra employees they've added on. So this is just an amendment to the existing PUDB site plan for this development. There could be such a situation as they may actually add on to this building in this direction. And this may or may not serve that. We'll just have to revisit that at the time, whether these additional spaces would serve in addition to this building or not. But for now, it's more than adequate for what they need. This also was on P&Z at the last meeting with the 5 members, and they voted unanimously to recommend this for approval as well.
Thank you, Jim. Item C is a public hearing on this proposed amendment. Are there any comments? Written?
No written.
No written. Okay, I'll close the public hearing and consider a resolution.
Resolution approving the amended PUDB site plan for Lot 1 West Core Business Park, Part 8, Coralville, Iowa, is introduced for adoption by Councilmember Gross, seconded by.
Second.
Seconded by Gill. Discussion. Roll call.
Dodds.
Aye.
Goodrich.
Aye.
Gross.
Aye.
Gill.
Aye.
Resolution is approved, all ayes with Hoft absent. Item 9 is the Northeast Area Water and Sanitary Sewer Connection Fee District. This is the fee districts that will collect the cost of an extension of sanitary sewer and water to the northeast area of Coralville upon the filing of the final plats. Both of these ordinances are the second consideration.
Ordinance number 2017-1012, an ordinance establishing the Northeast Area Water Connection Fee District, introduced for adoption, second consideration by Councilmember Gill, seconded by.
Second.
Seconded by Goodrich. Discussion. Roll call.
Goodrich.
Aye.
Gross.
Aye.
Gill.
Aye.
Dodds.
Aye.
Ordinance passes its second consideration, all ayes with Hope absent. And the next one?
Ordinance number 2017-1013, an ordinance establishing the Northeast Area Sanitary Sewer Connection Fee District, introduced for adoption by Councilmember Dodds, seconded
Second.
By Gill. Roll call.
Gross.
Aye.
Gill.
Aye.
Dodds.
Aye.
Goodrich.
Aye.
Okay, passes its second consideration, all ayes with Hope absent.
That's close.
Item 10 is the Brown Deer Golf Club. This is a resolution approving a lease with Fairway Suites Development for a 2.4 acre piece of land for construction of a hotel adjacent to our Brown Deer Golf Club. And Sherry Proud, our Director of Parks and Rec, are you going to start with the presentation perhaps? Or?
Sure, I can just, outline a little bit about what this is for. So in 2013, we executed a very similar lease with Fairway Suites. This is the east side of Brown Deer, the Brown Deer Golf Club property. This is a concept approximately where a hotel would be located. Same things with the 2013 lease. We signed with Fairway Suites, who is the developer, and then they assigned to a hotel developer and franchisee. In 2013, we signed the lease but didn't get to a PUD process and franchise developer. So it's a 99-year land lease. It is required to follow the PUD process with City Council, so you approve of what goes there, and then does have some shared parking there with Brown Deer Golf Club. Some things that are different this time in terms of cash payment and lump sum payment in timing of when those would happen with the city, and then a different negotiation. It went from 1% to 1.5% of gross sales payment per month, and that is estimated to be about $17,000 to $21,000 each year in that yearly lease. But the pro forma provided by Fairway Suites increases rounds about $2,500 to $3,500 for this size of a hotel, which is 77 rooms.
Rounds of golf?
Rounds of golf, yes. Additional use at banquets, in the banquet space at Brown Deer. They would not have their own banquet space in the hotel, and would not have a restaurant, would only serve breakfast in the hotel. So Divots could serve as a place for people to eat who stayed there.
And Sherry, I don't know if this is for you or for Kelly or others, but I'd like to have you speak about, one, the design and what our expectations are of the city for the design of a facility in this location, and also some process questions about if we approve this lease tonight, what are the checkpoints before anything would get constructed and move ahead?
I can address that portion of it. They would have to go through the PUD process, so it would start whenever they submitted the PUD, which is on the first of a month, they have to be filed on, and then the following month is when the actual public hearings would start, and they would have to go through Planning and Zoning Commission, and they would have to go through council, and there'd be a public hearing at both locations before they get approval, and then there would be a 3-reading ordinance, just as we did earlier tonight for Dovetail Estates. So that is the process that they would go through. What has been indicated to them is that they need to match the architecture of the golf course clubhouse. And so we've discussed colors and materials both would need to work in conjunction with this, with the clubhouse, so that it looks like it's a integrated facility. We also talked about even the signage, that they would need to make that look like the corner signage, and we haven't found a location exactly where that could be, but that would also be expected as well.
Do we have final say over the name of the building?
Well, they're going to have to submit signage as part of the PUD process, so that would be something that you would be looking at that time. And the process also is, as far as this lease is concerned, there's a $10,000 fee that they have to submit as a deposit as part of the process. If you choose to turn it down because of they don't match the appearance or whatever, that's refundable. If they would choose not to move forward, then it's a refundable dollar amount.
So this is 2 stories, right?
I think it's 3.
Yeah.
Huh?
I think they've been talking about 3.
3 stories.
And they're also talking about lowering the profile because of the,
So you're
it's a
basically
hill.
saying, 2 stories, you're saying, be like 15 rooms per floor?
No.
No,
it would be-
77,
25.
so
25 per-
about 25. Little over 25.
25 rooms. Yeah. Which would be split in half per side, if the center.
Oh,
the
so,
center.
okay, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, I see what you're saying. Yeah, you're right. It would be 12 per side.
With this, but Divots isn't going to be operating in the winter with this hotel, would it, or would it be?
It's not, the developer doesn't have that as a mandate for us to have to operate it in the winter, and it hasn't indicated one way or the other whether they'd like that or not. But they do know that we currently don't operate in the winter.
And they wouldn't intend to provide any evening complimentary hors d'oeuvres or anything that might detract from people going to Brown Deer?
It's not part of their business plan that they do in West Des Moines or Ames. We had the chance to visit the West Des Moines location here last month and talk with them about some of those things, and it doesn't sound like they would intend to do something like that here.
Would this be a nice wedding package venue for people to have their weddings at Brown Deer and hotel in the hotel?
I think there's definitely an upside to being able to just walk across the parking lot and be able to access your room. We would want to work closely with the Marriott on, because they sell Brown Deer and the banquet space. So we'd want to work with them on making this all, go smoothly if it goes through.
The course that we visited in Olathe, Kansas, several years ago, I mean, that was one of the bigger things that they saw was an increase in the use of the clubhouse for weddings because of the proximity and the availability of that. So that's probably the most significant increase they saw, in addition to the rounds. And we visited with the golf staff separate from the hotel staff, and the golf course indicated that it was that they were getting additional business on the golf course, and the weddings were specifically one of the areas that you could. And we've got a couple of outings that are big enough that they may make use of the hotel as well because of just the size, and that they bring in people from around the Midwest to
tournaments,
participate
yeah.
for, yeah.
So since we didn't have like a public hearing on this to know if there was any people concerned, at what point does that come in?
We actually had that last
Yeah.
Right, there was
Last meeting,
nothing
yeah.
new with that.
And so then there would be another one at the PUD time period. There'll be 2 opportunities, both at planning and zoning and at council.
And that's when they'd have all the drawings and renderings and elevation drawings that's required as part of the PUD package.
Is there a time frame when we're going to expect to get the first renderings and design concepts?
The way the lease is written, they have a year to get their permitting process through the permitting process, which means getting their PUD approved and their building plans approved. If at that time they're not ready to go, then they forfeit their deposit and the agreement will end.
They did talk about trying to meet the December 1 deadline to submit.
Well, I think it's a good project. It complements our clubhouse, and it's, it's non-invasive. It's, it's not a huge hotel, and it'll do a lot for the whole area. And it's, I don't perceive it as being a major, it'll be busy, but not to the extent that a landing hotel would be. So.
Tom, you had asked about planting additional trees to
Right.
get some screening going. So through this median here, there are no utilities running, and you can see there's a couple of oak trees that are in this median. So staff are working. I don't know if we'll get those in yet here
Sure.
in the next couple of weeks, but in the spring for sure. So this will be planted with the similar oak trees. This has a lot of utilities running down through it, so we cannot plant this median there, but we can work on planting this area, whatever it works out to be, additional screening here. And these are understory crab apples at this time, but maybe there's an opportunity to look at the health of these and possibly intersperse some overstory trees in that as well.
Other comments? Well, from my perspective, my bar is set very high in terms of the design standard before I'll support this hotel. Because of its location, it has to be a over and above facility that matches the quality of what we have there now. I wouldn't support anything
Well,
less.
I think all of us are on board with that.
Yeah.
It's going to be a good quality hotel. So.
Yeah, we
other
just
thing
haven't
that-
seen,
Yeah.
I just feel like there's a blind faith here a little bit. We're-
But there
we're
are
going-
several checkpoints.
Yeah, and I'm with you. It's just going to
All we see
be,
is a footprint, so,
Yeah.
Yeah, that was
So-
my concern too, is agreeing into a lease without really having a firm hold on what we're asking for. But as long as we can stop it along the way if it doesn't meet any up to the criteria.
And I think the neighbors that are here that are.
money, right, Kelly?
No,
No.
it's their money.
That's there. Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
And for the neighbors that are here, of course, you'd be welcome to provide comments on the design to the council and so forth when we get to that stage.
right.
Are you concerned?
Any other comments?
I don't know if they wanted to comment or not.
There have been some concerns, but there's another, I've heard from a lot of residents that they are excited that this would be there. It helps the traffic for the clubhouse, and it's an added thing to support the clubhouse.
Jill, the Councilmember Dodds just asked about commenting. If you had like a spokesperson that just wanted to say a few words, this really isn't meant to be a public hearing, but you're welcome to, if somebody wanted to concisely express any concerns. If not, you kind of get it. You've heard what we're saying is that I think we're pretty cautious ourselves.
I apologize for not being ready, because I just found out about this, and I just spent about a half an hour this afternoon reading quickly through the lease agreement. But as we represent 4 of the 5 condos that are actually represented on that rendering. The one condo is not here. Those people have indicated that they will be leaving the area this spring, so I don't think they have a direct interest. But I guess my comments are, we are very concerned, as you've indicated, about what the project will be. We've seen some information that you're looking at Sleep Inn. Sleep Inn is not regarded, in our opinion, as a high-class hotel. It's just another highway hotel. And actually, my wife and I spend about 100 nights a year in hotels, and we would never consider that hotel brand. Also, it seems to me that when you have Marriott running Divots and you have another brand running the hotel, there could be cannibalizing of customers to the Marriott Hotel, and there could be other concerns between the two different properties. I think the review process is good, but I think it's critical that we as residents have a part in that.
Yeah, we'll make sure of that.
Yep. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yep. Okay, very good. Any more council comments? Roll call.
Haven't had the
Did we,
resolution.
somebody seconded.
No, we hadn't do it yet.
Pardon me?
Haven't introduced it yet.
Okay, let's introduce it then. Yep.
Resolution approving the lease agreement with Fairway Suites Development LLC for the construction of a hotel at Brown Deer Golf Club, introduced for adoption by Councilmember Goodrich, seconded by.
Second.
Seconded by Gill. Any more discussion? Roll call.
Gill.
Aye.
Dodds.
Aye.
Goodrich.
Aye.
Gross.
Aye.
Okay, passes all ayes with Hoft absent. Thank you very much. Item 11 is Government Relations Agreement. This is our annual renewal of an agreement we have with Cope, Murphy and Company. It's slightly different name of the company due to the untimely passing of Don Averson of that group. This is an agreement from January 1st, 2018 through December 31st, 2020, not to exceed $30,000 per year plus reasonable expenses. Consider resolution.
Resolution approving a government relations agreement with Cope Murphy Plus Company, introduced for adoption by Councilmember Gross, seconded by.
Second.
Go ahead. Okay, by Dodds. Seconded by Dodds. Discussion?
Yeah, this is at the same fee as we had in the past, and this extends for another 3 years. We've done them at 3-year increments. And as the mayor indicated, Cope and Oakley did go out and solicit another partner to join the firm, and that's Mr. Murphy will be joining with them, so.
Have you met him yet?
Yeah, he was over in our area a couple of months ago and stopped in during the day to meet us, and we'll have them both of them come back to meet with everybody. And
I used to work with John, but yeah, he's great. He's represented Iowa State University before. He was the state of Iowa's lobbyist for the federal government before, so.
Yeah, he spent,
good.
I think, was it 3 years, Mitch, in D.C.
Yep.
representing Iowa, and there was a lot of really positive comments about his work there.
Yeah, yep.
Our local legislators also indicated that he was a very good addition to the firm as well.
Very good. Roll call?
Dodds.
Aye.
Goodrich.
Aye.
Gross.
Aye.
Gill.
Aye.
Resolutions approved all ayes with Hoft absent. Item 12 is our annual urban renewal report. This would be a motion to approve and accept the annual report for fiscal year 2017. And entertain a motion
So move.
by Gill, seconded by
Second.
Dodds. Roll call, or just all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, motion carries. Item 13 is financing. Excuse me. This is to consider a resolution appropriating payment of certain annual debt service instruments and directing the finance officer to certify tax increment financing debt to the Johnson County Auditor. This is something, again, we have to do every year at this time of year.
Resolution appropriating payment for certain annual appropriation debt service instruments and directing the finance officer to certify a tax increment financing debt to the Johnson County Auditor. Introduced for adoption by Councilmember Gill, seconded by.
Second.
Seconded by Goodrich. Discussion?
I just wanted to comment, back on the report, if people are looking through that, our constituents, it looks like there has been a lot of new debt, but I just wanted to point out that we did a lot of refinancing to take, advantage of lower interest rates. So this was not a lot of new debt that we've been taking on, just refinancing for.
Yeah, that's a good point, because it would appear that way, and there's corresponding debt that would be taken out in most instances.
Any other discussion? Roll call.
Goodrich.
Aye.
Gross.
Aye.
Gill.
Aye.
Dodds.
Aye.
Okay, resolution is approved all ayes with Hope absent. Now, the next 6 items are all, again, annual items regarding TIF work that we do. That's the requirements of the state for reporting of our TIF project. So bear with us. The first 3 aren't too long, but the next 3 are pretty long. So if you need to go refresh your drink or something, now's a good time. The first 3 have to do with interfund TIF loans, and all 3 of these just have money that advances for financing projects in the various urban renewal areas. I don't know if there's anything.
It's basically, these are budgeted items that come out of the urban renewal areas every year, but you have to pay TIF, you have to have a debt, so you have to create an internal debt and this is the budgeted amount that would be for next year's budget, which you haven't done yet, but these are the numbers that correspond to that. And the mall one is actually a lot less than it has been because a lot of the mall area is dropping off here at the end of this fiscal year. So these are normal, as the mayor said, these 3 resolutions are the normal resolutions, the last meeting in November of every year.
Okay. First resolution?
Resolution authorizing internal advance payable from tax increment revenue fund for urban renewal project costs. Introduced for adoption by Councilmember Dodds, seconded by.
Second.
Seconded by Goodrich. And I'll just state that since all 3 resolutions look like they're the same, this one's for the Oakdale urban renewal area. Roll call?
Gross.
Aye.
Gill.
Aye.
Dodds.
Aye.
Goodrich.
Aye.
Passes all ayes with Hope absent. Second one?
Resolution authorizing internal advance payable from tax increment revenue funds for urban renewal project costs. Introduced for adoption by Councilmember Goodrich, seconded by.
Second.
Seconded by Dodds, and this is for the 12th Avenue urban renewal area. Roll call.
Gill.
Aye.
Dodds.
Aye.
Goodrich.
Aye.
Gross.
Aye.
Passes all ayes with Hope absent. Third one?
Resolution authorizing internal advance payable from tax increment revenue fund for urban renewal project costs. Introduced for adoption by Councilmember Gross, seconded by.
Second.
Seconded by Gill. This is for the Mall Highway 6 area. Roll call.
Dodds.
Aye.
Goodrich.
Aye.
Gross.
Aye.
Gill.
Aye.
Passes all ayes with Hope absent. Okay, item 15 are 3 ordinances. First consideration of amendments to urban renewal plans and areas. Kevin, you want just to give a brief?
Yeah, this is annually we go through these are adding projects that have been built in the last 12 to 18 months to the urban renewal areas to start their 20-year process. We are not adding any areas to the TIF areas. These are just in the existing TIF areas.
Projects within existing
Yeah,
areas.
and it hadn't been developed as of yet. So these are those projects. The first ordinance is for 12th Avenue. The second one is the mall, and the third one is the Oakdale.
Okay, thanks. Save me from saying that.
Okay.
Okay, Don, the first ordinance?
Ordinance number 2017-1015, and ordinance amending ordinance numbers 651-706, 96-749, 96-777, 2003-969, 2013-1008, 2014-1011, 2015-1017, and 2016-1019, providing that general property taxes levied and collected each year on all property located within the 12th Avenue Urban Renewal Project area in the city of Coralville, County of Johnson, state of Iowa, by and for the benefit of the state of Iowa, city of Coralville, County of Johnson, the community school district, and other taxing districts be paid to a special fund for payment of principal and interest on loans, monies advanced to, and indebtedness, including bonds issued or to be issued incurred by said city in connection with said urban renewal redevelopment project. An ordinance is introduced for adoption, first consideration by Councilmember Gill, seconded by.
Second.
Seconded by Gross. Discussion?
Yeah, the only property added here is the building that's in process on the 808 project at this time.
Okay. Thank you. Any other discussion? Roll call.
Gross.
Aye.
Gill.
Aye.
Dodds.
Aye.
Goodrich.
Aye.
Ordinance passes its first consideration, all ayes with Hope absent. Second one?
Ordinance number 2017-1016, an ordinance amending ordinance numbers 650-679-97-786, 2001-941, 2002-95, 2005-1014, 2013-107, 2015-1018, and 2016-1020, providing that general property taxes levied and collected each year on all property located within the Mall and Highway 6 Urban Renewal Project area in the city of Coralville, County of Johnson, state of Iowa, by and for the benefit of the state of Iowa, the city of Coralville, County of Johnson, Iowa City Community School District, and other taxing districts be paid to a special fund for payment of principal and interest on loans, monies advanced to, and indebtedness including bonds issued to or be issued incurred by said city in connection with said urban renewal redevelopment project. Is introduced for adoption, first consideration by Councilmember Dodds, seconded by.
Second.
Seconded by Goodrich. Discussion.
Yeah, the main property, there's three added here. The main one was the Fairfield Hotel that was completed earlier this year by Hawkeye Lodging.
Roll call.
Gill.
Aye.
Dodds.
Aye.
Goodrich.
Aye.
Gross.
Aye.
Passes first consideration, all ayes with Hope absent. And the third one.
Ordinance number 2017-1017, an ordinance amending ordinances number 608, 707, 2001-942, 2006-1052, 2013-1009, and 2014-1007, provided that general property taxes levied and collected each year on all properties located within the Coralville Urban Renewal Project area in the city of Coralville, County of Johnson, state of Iowa, by and for the benefit of the state of Iowa, city of Coralville, County of Johnson, Iowa City Community School District, and other taxing districts be paid to a special fund for payment of principal and interest on loans, monies advanced to, and indebtedness, including bonds issued or to be issued, incurred by said city in connection with said urban renewal redevelopment project. Introduced for first consideration and adoption by Councilmember Goodrich, seconded by.
Second.
Seconded by Dodds. Discussion.
The two properties added here are the new Hy-Vee store that had started back up, and the two commercial buildings that are located just south of the Hy-Vee gas station.
Okay, thank you. Roll call.
Dodds.
Aye.
Goodrich.
Aye.
Gross.
Aye.
Gill.
Aye.
Ordinance passes its first consideration, all ayes with Hope absent. I think I ask this every year, but next, we have two more readings. Can those be collapsed?
You can always collapse them if you want, but do you want me to?
Wouldn't we want to?
It's up to you.
It's up to you guys. You can always collapse readings of ordinances.
But you still have to read them aloud, right?
Well, read them once.
Yeah.
Read it once.
Oh, yeah, you still have to read them. Yeah, that's not
Sorry.
really saving anything. are
No,
you?
it could be worse. You could
I
read
gotcha.
the 8 pages or whatever their ordinances are.
I'd rather hear it over 3 times
Yeah,
than all one time.
But scratch
No
that
offense,
idea.
Kevin.
That wasn't a good idea.
Just a time and material item.
Okay.
Gonna have to make popcorn or something
Yeah.
next time, Don. So.
We'll bring some of your Playvolution
Don used
stuff.
to do that. Don used to go in the back room and read. He did.
Well, let's get on to something more exciting like drainage modeling and pump stations. Item 14, Iowa River Landing Interior Drainage Modeling Pump Station Number 2. It's a motion or a resolution to approve an engineering services agreement with HR Green to do some studies of our Iowa River Landing Pump Station number 2.
Resolution approving an engineering services agreement with HR Green Inc. for Iowa River Landing Interior Drainage Modeling Pump Station number 2, introduced for adoption by Councilmember Gross, seconded by.
Second.
Seconded by Gill. Discussion? Roll call.
Goodrich.
Aye.
Gross.
Aye.
Gill.
Aye.
Dodds.
Aye.
Resolution is approved all ayes with Hope absent. Item 17 is a Russell Slade Boulevard streetscape and cemetery improvements. This is a resolution approving an engineering services agreement with Bolton and Menk Incorporated for improvements around Russell Slade Boulevard and the cemetery there at First Avenue. And it looks like Sherry Proud's going to tell us a little bit more about it.
Yeah, this project came up quickly this fall, so I just wanted to just give a little bit of a background. A couple things factored into wanting to get this agreement in place with Grand Living and the Bridgewater development. Russell Slade is going to become a very busy and active street, and we've been approached by Grand Living in participating in some streetscape improvements. So that's number one. The Veterans Memorial has been redesigned and is talking about getting started in the spring. So we want to make sure that still fits and works here with the corner of Oak Hill Cemetery, as well as there's a roundabout planned for right here in the future. So we want to make sure all of that fits together. And while we were doing that, we also wanted to look at how we could improve Oak Hill Cemetery with some possible new screened plantings and some columbarium walls. We've done some research on columbariums in the past, and think that would be a nice addition to Oak Hill. Over 50% of burials these days are by cremation rather than by in the ground. So this would be a nice addition. And then there's an additional lot here that currently does not have anything planned for it with the development that's been proposed here. So that might be also an opportunity. So all of that coming together, we felt like we needed to hire someone to plan this all together for us.
Just curious, Sherry, how many positions would be available in such a long...
Columbariums are, it just depends on what design we would come up with. They have brought on board as a sub-consultant a firm called Columbarium by Design out of New Mexico. And Kelly and I had an opportunity to meet with the gentleman that's from there. He's very highly regarded and recommended by Michael Lensing of Lensing Funeral Homes. And he has some really creative ideas. It's almost sky's the limit in what you could do. Just in a simple, just a few different columns along here, he easily came up with 4,000 niches. Mm-hmm.
And then that blue square, that's where traditional plots would go if we went that route?
I think that's more a memorial garden space is what right now we're thinking. It's pretty small.
Where
It
would
looks
traditional
large
plots
there.
go?
We do not have any additional room here for additional in-ground burials.
So why wouldn't
have
we
to
put
look.
some in the blue spot?
It's something else we could look at. It's pretty small. It maybe fit another 20 places, 20 or 30 places there. So if we could look at it as a memorial garden and columbarium, we'd probably get more out of that and look at additional space elsewhere for a traditional cemetery might be a better route.
Like a space outside of Oak Hill?
Right.
And Thor, do you know offhand, maybe share what our plot status is?
It's still over 200, I believe.
Or available?
Yeah.
Okay.
We bury on average about 7 to 9 a year.
It's pretty full.
We'll also be coming up on the times when we can reclaim some of the existing in the cemetery, which we've done, was it once or twice, Thor?
Once with me. I'm
Yeah.
not sure if Arlis or Nancy
Oh.
went through that process.
I think you and I did the first one,
Yeah. So then those are ones that have not been used for a certain period of time under the law, and you do some notifications. And there's probably quite a few of those scattered throughout the cemetery as well that over time can be reclaimed.
So
Yeah.
like if someone bought them and hasn't claimed it in
75 years.
Yeah.
75 years.
And you'd be surprised at the ones that have already been in that situation, yeah.
If I
I mean, there
remember-
were some
yeah.
that were bought by families, I mean, huge numbers of blocks of the cemetery, and, because it was so cheap, and they, your family's all gonna stay around, and everybody's gonna be buried there, and then they scatter all across the country, and so, 2 or 3 spaces. So, I mean, the number of those spaces throughout that cemetery that aren't used is significant.
That's plus the 200 that are available.
Yeah.
Okay. That's good to know, yeah. And Sherry, what's the definition of a memorial garden? What does that mean? What would that be for that blue spot?
I don't know if I can explain a definition, but a place where, there's different, everything's from, you could have a small gazebo where you could have a small internment ceremony, and then go over and into the internment place, whether it's a niche or a place in the cemetery itself. It could be columbarium structure, but have it be very artful. It could be a place of just quiet contemplation.
Okay.
It could be I'm blanking on
Well, they
what
had-
Michael calls the large
They had everything
receptacles.
from, they had gardens where people just want their ashes spread in a garden versus buried in a specific location. A lot of them look like parks. I mean, they've got lots of examples of 1-acre spots that it's just gorgeous, and you'd never even know that that's what it is because of the way it's been designed.
How large is that area? Do you know, is it how many acres?
Scott,
It's not
you have
very
an
big.
idea?
It looks big, but,
Yeah, it
It's
looks.
a lot bigger than you would think.
Yeah.
I mean, is it like 10 acres or?
No.
Oh, probably an acre, maybe.
Oh,
It-
isn't that houses like, maybe I'm just not below it.
I don't
We don't
have a
see it
measurement.
much because the road, Russell Slade currently kind of stops there at the entrance to the Grand Living.
But basically, what we're doing is the right-of-way of these, we're putting, the green areas are right-of-ways of the road, right? We're working out there
Yeah,
in
we're-
green spaces that
Yeah,
we're.
and then the columbariums that we're looking at is really designed to hopefully make the existing cemetery, it actually extends obviously the life, but it also
Right.
makes it more attractive
Right.
and a better place for those people that are using the cemetery or for private people that are on private property, so they have a good screening from,
Yeah, it
you know,
creates a
both
wall
directions.
between
Yeah.
that and the hotel, and it's.
Well,
it's
I
just
think more importantly than the hotel, than a parking lot, and,
Right.
so.
Privacy, it just, I think it's just an enhancement.
There's a couple examples of these in the Oak Hill Cemetery over in Iowa City as well, that you can see what they look like, and they're very attractive, the way they're designed.
Okay. And you'll contact the Iowa Firefighters Association, considering they're part of that corner as well, I think? I
No,
mean,
they're not.
on the north side, they are there, where the sign for our memorial is.
The sign
The
is
sign is
here.
right there. I mean,
Yeah.
just out of a courtesy, so they
Yeah.
don't come back and get shocked
Just
about
sent.
what's going on there and
Yeah.
things like that.
They took it from the cemetery, so.
Okay, resolution done?
Resolution approving the engineering services agreement with Bolton and Mink, Inc. for the Russell Slade Boulevard streetscape and cemetery improvements, introduced for adoption by Councilmember Gill, seconded by.
Second.
Seconded by Gross. Discussion? It's close.
Yeah.
Roll call.
Dodds.
Aye.
Goodrich.
Aye.
Gross.
Aye.
Gill.
Aye.
Resolution approved, all ayes with Hoft absent. Item 18, Resource Enhancement and Protection Grant, otherwise known as REAP. This is a resolution approving an agreement with Iowa DNR for some REAP funds that we received.
Resolution approving an agreement with the Iowa Department of Natural Resources for grant funding via the Resources Enhancement and Protection REAP program, introduced for adoption by Councilmember Dodds, seconded by.
Second.
Seconded by Goodrich. Jerry, do you want to tell us?
I would just, this was the REAP grant, like you talked about, it's a forest restoration project. So we're going to be working on non-native invasive species removal, mostly in the Clear Creek Greenbelt and in the Auburn East woodland area. And as soon as we get this all, the contract executed with the DNR will be going out for bid on this. A lot of this is manual removal that we will want to do during the winter months after the ground freezes. So people will see this project going on. And a lot of it's removal of honeysuckle, oriental bittersweet, some things that are just really taking over our forests and affecting the health of them.
Great.
No mustard?
Not with this. You can just pull that out of the ground.
Sherry, does this mean jobs opportunities? Or will you use
This is not any job opportunities in our
Okay.
department.
Uh-huh.
It's contracted work, some of it, and some of it's done by our own staff.
Thank you.
Roll call.
Goodrich.
Aye.
Gross.
Aye.
Gill.
Aye.
Dodds.
Aye.
Resolution approved, all ayes with Hope absent. I'd entertain a motion to approve the consent calendar as presented or amended.
Move to approve the consent calendar, items A through double B inclusive.
Second?
Second.
Seconded by Dodds. Discussion? Roll call.
Gross.
Aye.
Gill.
Aye.
Dodds.
Aye.
Goodrich.
Aye.
Consent calendar is approved, all ayes as presented with Hope absent. City administrators reports.
The only thing I have is just remind everyone that on the 9th and 10th, we have activities coming up for the Holiday Luminary event, and there will be things in the Iowa River Landing, at the Coral Ridge Mall, at the old City Hall, and here at City Hall. So, and we have one slight addition here is we have had a resident that will be putting up a train display in City Hall. So that'll be a great new thing for people to see here at City Hall.
Super. That's it?
Yep.
Okay, mayor's report. I don't have much either. I do want to say that it's a little late now, but as far as garbage collection, it was all, this week, it was all a day later than your normal pickup day.
Well, it's all the way rest of the week.
Rest of the week, yeah. So there's not too late. So like, tonight is Tuesday night. Normally, we would put ours out last night. We'll put our garbage out tonight because that's a day later. So just try, if you're still eligible for that, it's a day later.
We put ours out last night,
Did you? Just to be ahead of the game?
just to be ahead of the game.
Yeah, good.
Or I forgot to.
Well, this
You're
week
supposed to
it's
set
late,
the example for
too.
your
I
neighbors,
know.
Mitch.
I was the first one, and they all got, yeah, it wasn't good.
Yeah, I just said it's like there's 2 different dates that you had to
Yeah,
put it out.
Yeah, for 2 weeks.
2 weeks.
For some of us.
for some, yeah. After the end of this week, we'll be back to normal.
Right.
Will this be for the week of Christmas, too?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yep.
we'll do a reminder.
Do a reminder. Set the example
I
right
will.
this time, okay. And also, I just wanted to mention that starting next Monday, the Recycle Center is going to be moving the drop-off center for the citizens to a location off of 12th Avenue on 10th Street east of 12th Avenue back towards the new water plant, or the water plant and transit facility. So that'll be a nice improvement because it'll be open 7 days a week, 24 hours. So it'll be a nice improvement for folks to be able to drop off their recyclable materials there. And we'll continue to do the curbside pickup as normal. And the same rules apply in terms of what you can drop off, plastic and paper and cardboard, but no glass. I think that's it for my announcements. City Attorney's report.
I feel like I owe an apology to Jill and to Megan. I should have mentioned the Coralville Community Food Pantry before the Thanksgiving dinner as such, so now I'm going to say, remember as we head into December that Christmas is the time for giving, and that's a very simple gift, and we'd sure like not to have anybody in Coralville go hungry. That's all I have.
Thank you, Don.
I have nothing.
Okay, committee and council members report. Mitch, you're kind of down there by yourself, so we'll let you start.
Yeah, I actually don't have a lot, Mayor, so.
You don't have anything.
No, I'm trying to save my voice, so.
Moving on.
Tom?
Well, you stole my recycle, but you can Google or put in your Garmin 950 Hughes Street, that's where the recycling
Okay.
center is. So,
Yeah.
so the other thing was, I saw West Core development. And when do we pull it, or we or the city pull the trigger on development on that until the road is completed?
Well, that's one of the things that we discussed as to whether you were interested in pushing forward. I mean, the road won't happen on its own without,
Right.
more than likely, I mean, the developer is on both sides,
Right.
is very interested in having the road go through, as is the people that are already there. The concern is that the landowner in the middle that has the billboards is the one that doesn't want the road to go through. So the question is whether you want to take action to
The
force
question
that
is
issue.
fire protection if it's not through, right?
Right, yeah.
Yeah.
Because there's a significant amount of development on both ends.
Right.
And you have to cross the railroad track, so,
It's something for us to think about.
yeah.
Okay. And we had a great weekend with Festival of the Trees, and would like to thank Sherry and Evan Helsbeck and the staff for working hard for that Festival of the Trees. It was a lot of hard work, but it was a lot of fun. And thank you.
I believe it made about approximately $10,000 this year.
Great.
So it's great. Anything else, Tom?
Nope, that's it.
Okay, Jill?
Burfest tickets are on sale. It screwed me up this year because they went on sale on Cyber Monday, not on Black Friday. So my poor children are going to have to go in with the general public instead of with Brewmaster tickets. And I just wanted the world to know that for my protection because they don't know yet.
Okay,
I don't have anything.
nothing, Laura?
Thanks.
Okay. I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Gill, seconded by Dodds. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
We are adjourned.